What's up, everybody? Welcome to our Tuesday masterclass. Boy, is it going to be a good one. Just to let you know, Michelle will introduce him in a second, but we got Kyle Johnson here. 400 transactions a year, this guy does. So he is something serious. And that's 4 with 2 zeros, not 40. So we're all glad to have him on the call today. But before we jump into what we want to jump into, a couple of quick shout outs. Number one, Berkeley joined us in 2023. She did 13 deals in 2023. Currently has 13 under contract right now. Went from 13 deals a year to 13 under contract as we speak. Has another 6 active and just took another listing yesterday. Congratulations. Also, I wrote Nick down too. I wanted to point out Nick. Sorry, I thought I wrote it down. 1 second. So Nick and Matt, 6 listings signed this month so far. After taking 5 days off for Tony Robbins, has 8 active right now, 7 in attorney review, 8 under contract, 3 closed so far, 34 contacts, 5 appointments today, 1 FISBO. Good job, Nick Tarani. And also Karina, who just started with us, set her first listing appointment this morning. And then Miguel, who just joined our breakfast club, set an appointment for a 1.7, took the listing, had a buyer for it, right? Double-ended that deal. Oh, and by the way, that lady had another unit right next door for 1.5, and his buyer wants to buy that. That's a quadruple end transaction that took him 2 hours of prospecting, and that's what we call $100,000 day. Congratulations, Miguel. I love it. Not too shabby for your first real week of prospecting. So with that being said, Michelle, why don't we just go ahead and go over our current events real quick, and then we'll get right into what you guys want to talk about, because I want to show of hands from all of you guys. How many of you guys would love to have your best 2 months that you've ever had in real estate in November and December? Show of hands or microphones, whichever one you want, because we're going to be going over that shortly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Current events.
Yep.
So I love that with Miguel, by the way, Cooley. And yeah, that's his first real week of prospect. He's only been working with us maybe the past 2-3 weeks, which is crazy town. So real quick here, guys, before we kick off, you guys are in for something special. I'll do a full intro here in a moment. I want to push the camera on culture. We're not going to be sharing screens. We're not going over like formal PowerPoint. I'm going to line out exactly what we're going over today. You guys are going to have 2 of the top salespeople in the entire industry sharing gold with you guys back and forth. So this is something, this will be recorded for anyone that wants the recording afterwards. You guys are going to want to take notes, right? This is going to be on how to initiate conversations, how to ask the right questions, the one-liners. There's going to be so much gold that's shared. So before we dive in, just a couple of little things real fast. So today is, I don't even know what the date is today. Obviously we've got Thanksgiving week coming up next week. So that will be our 1 off week with the masterclass guys, but I want everyone to save the date for December 3rd. So that's 2 Tuesdays from now. We're going to be doing an entire session on getting your database in order. Okay. And that's one of the most important things this time of the year is getting everything in order. As we launch into the start of the year, you want to have those things in order. We're going to walk you guys through an entire system and process, a plan that you can execute with immediately, literally that you can copy and paste to how to put the systems in place with your database. So that's going to be super, super important. You guys will see us promote that over the next week. So just save that date, December 3rd. Am I thinking of the date correctly? Yeah, December 3rd, that's 2 Tuesdays from now. So that'll be the next one we come back for. I want everybody there. And then quick highlight for my Washington folks, we got our live event December 5th. I will drop the link. Get registered, make sure we have head count. Everyone get registered for that. That's going to be amazing. That's going to be a big holiday event in Washington State. So with that said, this class is going to be a lot of fun. Okay. So you guys know the drill. We're going to keep it very tactical, things that you guys can walk away with today and immediately put in place to move the needle forward with your business. So you guys saw the title of this session, right? How to sell, strategy, and timing to get our fence sitters moving forward, right? And it's all kind of the same conversation when you think about everyone that's waiting for the elections, right? Was waiting for the elections to pass up. Everyone that's been on the fence waiting for rates for a year, for 2 years, right? Now we're in the middle of the holidays, everybody that's waiting for after the holidays. So we're going to address those conversations and we're going to go through a handful of different things. So I'm going to kind of break this up in quarters for you guys, right? So first quarter, we're going to kind of touch on what's going on with the market right now and kind of the importance of what's happening and the opportunity for our clients at hand today and right now. Second quarter, right? Who should we be calling, right? Who should we be calling right now? We're going to get really specific there as well. Q3, which will actually be the meat and potatoes. What do we say? What should we be saying, right? We talk to hundreds and hundreds of agents, guys, all day long, every single day. What do you think the biggest thing they're saying? What do you guys think is the number one conversation that we're having with agents every day?
Waiting till after the holiday.
All of the objections.
All of my clients are sitting on the fence. Everyone's waiting. I'm struggling with business. Everyone's just waiting. I don't know what to say to move anyone forward. I don't know what to say. This is literally the conversation across the board, you guys, from heavy producers all the way to the other scale, every single day, all day long. It's what we've been practicing on the Breakfast Club on a daily basis. Okay, we'll highlight that for any guests that we have here on here later on, so you guys can check it out as well. But that's what everyone's saying. It's my business is slow right now. Everyone's waiting. I don't know what to say. So that'll definitely be the meat and potatoes of what we talk about. And then the fourth quarter, we're going to, of course, give you guys the action steps that you can start to put in place immediately and move forward into. So with that said, quick introduction. I know Cooley, probably for most everyone on here, you guys all know Chad Cooley, our coach, one of the best sales coaches I have ever known in the entire industry. And I'm looking at all the faces on here, guys. You know, when we look at Cooley's background since being in mortgage since the age of 15, all the way to shifting into the real estate world with me many years ago, right? Running our coaching and training systems, running our call centers, coaching agents to build massive productions, running the listing operations that we do. We're going to work on some tactical things that you guys can do on all aspects of the business, but also the buyer side. Okay. So we're going to hit on a lot of things, and then full introduction on Kyle. So some of you guys have seen, he's done actually a class with us before, Kyle, I think earlier this year. We really did a really good class working with buyers. But anyone that doesn't know, so Kyle Johnson lives in Olympia, Washington. Here's some things that are unique about him, okay? He's with Cross Country Mortgage. He is licensed personally in all 50 states, okay? So those of you guys that have heard us talk about him before, there's some different advantages and things that he is able to do because he's licensed in all 50 states. But something that's really fun, he's of the top 200 loan officers, you guys, in the country, nationwide, in the top 200. Okay, he's number 7 in the country for VA loans specifically. Okay, so what's really cool, and this is my favorite thing about Kyle, because I love this because he's such a gangster. So he spent 7 years in operations before getting licensed and actually going all in, doing loans as a loan officer. His first year in 2019, he closed 92 loans. Okay, the second year, 2020, he sold 421 loans, you guys. And
Say that number again for the people in the back.
421 loans his second year as a loan officer. Okay, so when you talk about his capabilities, his sales skills, his processes, his systems, someone that's working at that level consistently, he's consistently selling hundreds of properties or closing hundreds of deals every single year, guys, consistently. He has so much value and knowledge to share, which is exciting. We actually met Kyle through Hannah Price's on here. You guys have all met Hannah, I think, over other sessions, baller in the industry as well. But I'm excited, you guys. This is going to be a great dialogue back and forth. Again, the whole point of this session that we're doing today is to give you guys tactical, applicable things of how do I take advantage of right now? Who should I be talking to? And what exactly can I say so everyone's equipped to take action with leaving here today. So with that said, Kyle, we're excited to have you. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you.
Let's go ahead and kick us off with just kind of what's going on right now and what we're going to be doing.
Yeah. So big opportunity in the market right now, guys. And if you guys, if you're the type of agent who thinks that the market is slow around the holidays, then you're the exact person who needs to be camera on, pen and paper in hand, or chat GTP, however you decide to take notes. Like, you need to be laser focused here, because my agents typically, guys, and Kyle, I'm sure that you can relate to this, my agents typically have their best months in November and December because they know that the market doesn't slow down, right? It's not the market that slows down every year. It's agents who slow down. Why? because they typically don't have solutions. They don't know what to say, or they want to take a vacation themselves, right? So they start advising their clients that now's not really a good time and nobody buys houses around this time. That might have been true decades and decades and decades ago, but we're in a new market, guys, and the market is only as slow as you move. I'll say that one more time. The market is only as slow as you move. We've got a whole, the biggest advantage that we've got right now, and if you want to have a production boost, then you've got to become a master at what to say, a master at who you're reaching out to. And if you master just those two things, guys, you will do more business than you've ever done in your real estate career in November and December, right? But we got to think about exactly who we should be reaching out to right now and what people are going to be saying. So real quick question around this time of year, whether you prospect expired listings, for sale by owners, whether you're working with your database, whether you're working with your sphere of influence, what are the most common things that you're hearing right now? Can you guys just, some of you guys unmute your microphones and just give me that juice? What are the most common things that you're hearing right now?
No buyers.
Relatives are visiting.
Waiting for the
House is dirty.
House is a mess.
Okay,
Relatives.
you guys are getting super technical here, right? House is dirty. I like that. The most common things that you're going to get around this time of year, guys. Number one, I'm waiting until after the holidays. Okay. Now, for a variety of reasons why, but the main objection is I'm not doing anything until after the holidays. Also, guys, the objection that you've heard over the past couple of years is I'm waiting until after the election to do something. Now, if we dive a little bit deeper into these things, guys, there's ways that we can isolate these into tangible objections. The reason why we don't make progress is because typically we don't dig deep enough, right? We hear people who are going to be waiting until after the holidays. We don't know why. We don't know what their sticking points are. And honestly, we typically don't have solutions for them. And we just end up going, yeah, okay, so is it okay if I call you after January 1st? Not today, Junior. Like, we've got to make sure that by the end of this call, you know what to say, you know how to dig deeper, you know how to provide solutions, and you're able to leverage what's going on, guys, to give people what they want now. Now, here's the cool thing about all these people that we're talking about: election waiters, rate waiters, holiday waiters. The cool thing is, guys, they've all decided typically that they are going to do something, right? And you don't need to have them as your clients right now. Maybe we leverage strategy to set them up to be clients after the first of the year. You can never force somebody to sell their home. And I'll say that till the day that I die. But if somebody has decided that they are definitely going to be selling their home, you are the expert about timing and solutions, and we've got to start acting that way. So, Michelle, what do you want to talk? What do you want to get into first?
The first thing for a moment here is let's talk about, obviously this will transition to what do we say to these different sources of different client types, I guess you would say. So who should we be calling, right? When we talk about how do we turn, how do we take massive action, right? And who should we be calling? I think in general, it's the same mindset across the board, but specifically, what are the different sources of business that we're going to be addressing today?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so obviously, guys, your primary source of business, you've got all of the people who have already given you objections. Hopefully you have your database intact, right? Hopefully you've got an entire database of people where you have their objections itemized, right? So anybody who has decided that they want to do something. So I'm talking hot leads, warm leads. I'm talking buyers, sellers. I think, to be honest with you, for me, it's everyone, but we've got to split it up strategically. So your database is number one, first and foremost, has got to be the database. Now, you have a litany of reasons to reach out to your database right now. Can anybody think of just 3 reasons right now that you should be reaching out to your database? Anybody? Just give me 3 reasons. Just shout them out. Everybody can go at the same time.
Holidays, home
Talk about
maintenance,
rates.
plans for the next year.
End of year
Yeah.
CMA. Wishing them Merry Christmas.
I love it. Wishing a Merry Christmas. Absolutely. We should always do all these things. So what I'm having a lot of my agents do right now, Michelle, is taking their past clients and dividing them up over the course of the next couple of months and having that conversation about the holidays, obviously, right? And leveraging what's going on in the market to try to, number one, see if they're planning on making any financial decisions soon, right? With their home, with whatever. And I'm making the conversation more about, hey, Kyle, I wanted to reach out to you today. Obviously, we've got the holidays going on. I wanted to wish you guys and your family a Merry Christmas. Obviously, with all the craziness in the market, Kyle, I'm reaching out to everybody that's important to me, everybody in my database, to just make sure that they know what's going on. Kyle, have you been paying attention at all to what's been going on in the marketplace? So really quickly, Michelle, I know that you want to say something right here. Go ahead.
Oh, just because I want to segment this out for everybody. So go ahead and finish whatever you're saying, and then I'm going to interrupt you. Because I want to
Sure.
break it down into 3 different sections that everyone can take specific notes on.
Right.
Because Cooley's so excited, he's going to spitfire like 10 scripts for you guys to run with. So
Yeah.
I'll pause us on that because I would say, and you guys might agree with me here, it's a similar mindset across the board. Would you guys agree? Like to everybody, literally, like this conversation is relevant to every single person out there. But if I could give you guys 3 categories that you can kind of write down and put specific takeaways of how to have the conversation, the scripting that these guys are going to go through, the questions you should be asking, the specific strategies to work on with those. To me, it breaks down into 3 categories, right? Which is going to be your sellers that are on the fence, your buyers
on the fence.
okay,
And
and then your database, past clients, your sphere, all of those people. Again, there's a lot of similarities kind of across the board, but I want to specifically segment all 3 of those before Cooley and Kyle just dive in and go crazy with it. So that's what I want you guys taking notes on. Now, I do have a handout with some items that are kind of going to be outside. It's going to give you guys some really good takeaways outside of the dialogue today. So make sure you are taking really, really good notes. That's not going to be a shared screen. I'm not going to send out that handout to the end. It's just some additional takeaways for you guys to take with you. They're going to help you with the post-election conversation, holiday conversation, all that kind of stuff. So with that said, let's kind of dive into the meat and potatoes here, but I'm gonna drive us to keep us segmented specifically and to make sure we have enough time to hit on each one. Of course, we'll have time, you guys, for some Q&A as well. But the real conversation is, what do we say, right? What should we be saying? So I want to start with sellers just to kind of hit on that briefly here, because I want to actually spend more time on the buyer's conversation and the database conversation, just because we'll show you guys some tools you can join us on that we're having this seller conversation literally every single day. So Cooley, I'll point that to you first. Between you and Kyle, right? But so again, same conversation. Most of the time we're talking with clients and we're like, okay, they're a yes or a no, right? So they just go into one of those categories and then we're just checking in with them later. We're just checking in with them after January. So the whole conversation is here. How do we actually create strategy and solutions and actually work with our clients in a different way to figure out, one, if there is a better opportunity and solution for them now, and or the strategy of how we're working with them for when they are ready at whatever point in time that is, next year, right? Whatever that is. So Cooley, what are the things that we could be doing and saying to have that conversation with our sellers?
Yeah. So most importantly, guys, we want to establish that a decision has already been made, right? That they are going to do these things. They are going to be selling. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of timing, right? That's one of the most important things that you guys can do, is really nail down that somebody wants what they want. Okay. So I'm reaching out to all of my sellers and I'm bringing up their motivation, right? And I'm just confirming that they still want these things, right? Sienna, I know that your whole goal was to move to Cincinnati to be closer to your family. And I wanted to make sure that that's still the case. Is that still in your plans and something that you guys really want to do at this point, right? I'm nailing down that motivation. That works with your database, that works with your leads, but establishing the fact that a decision is going to be made is so important because it keeps all the squirreliness out. If you guys think about, most of your prospecting drives you crazy because you don't have any certainty, right? It's, well, I'm thinking about doing something. And then we have to go into, so like just solidifying that the decision is made is huge. And the next step is obviously trying to uncover the objection. You know what I mean? And this is where we have to get really specific, right? Here's where most agents fail around this time of year, guys. They fail because of their own feelings and their own emotion. They don't want to get too specific with people, right? Or they settle for surface level objections that don't actually help you, help your clients, if that makes sense. So when people say, you know, I'm not doing anything until after January 1st, right? Now, okay, great. So you've decided, Donna, that you're definitely going to be selling the property. It's just a matter of timing. What has you waiting until after January 1st. What is your concern? And I think all of you guys do that now. The real mastery is in what you do with the vague answer from there. You know what I mean? Because they will give you different vague answers. Why are you waiting until after January 1st? Well, I just want to get through the holidays, right? And at that point, most people shut down and they just don't ask any further questions, right? Yeah, holidays are a busy time for most people, but in your mind, if you're looking out for people's best interest, guys, you have got to ask the follow-up question. And the biggest difference between being nosy, or I'm sorry, being pushy and being aggressive is your intent and the feeling that people get when you're asking them the question. Do they feel like you're looking out for them, or do they feel like you're looking out for you, if that makes sense? And so really quickly, we need to be diving deeper into the actual objections that you're getting, right? When you say the holidays, how do you feel that that's going to get in the way of you actually being able to get what you want and move to Cincinnati, right? It's that follow-up question. How do you feel like that X is going to get in your way of getting the things that you want right now? You know what I mean? And obviously, when you get that isolated objection, then it's all the solution. Okay. Now, holidays are really simple, guys, especially for you guys who are setting listing appointments. I want you to first believe that you've got every possible solution that anybody needs. Okay. And you have the cool thing is when you're calling people on the phone, you have all the time in the world to try to figure out a solution and what you would do in that situation, right? So when you're calling people, you don't have to have a solution off the top of your head, but you got to believe in your ability to have a solution, if that makes sense. And then we've got to be able to offer them exactly what they want now and just let them know that we can take care of the solution. So Sienna, really quickly, I'm going to use you as an example. If somebody is going to be like the hub for their family, right? And they're going to have tons of people coming into town. You're going to get that objection quite a bit, right? I got lots of family coming into town. I don't really want to show my property. Sienna, if that's my objection, how do we actually set the appointment with the solution to the problem rather than getting so specific with people that it turns them off? Sienna, how would we do that?
Let them know that year after year, this is what all of the sellers.
Give it to me in scripted form.
Oh, dang it. Okay. Chad, yeah, most of the sellers that I talk with year after year say the same exact thing. So I've really been forced to come up with a lot of solutions so we can get around that and not have you, so that you don't have to worry about accommodating all of your guests and showings. So Chad, that's exactly what I want to go over with you. What time works best, 4 or 5?
So that was good, right? But what we want to do, guys, is make sure that we're leading with the positive, right? Of course, Sienna, you definitely want to focus on your family this holiday season. If I can show you a way to provide a great financial incentive now, set it up so that you can just enjoy your holidays, then it sounds to me like that would be in line with your goals, right? Then you ask for the appointment and the solutions come in the living room because you have them, right? How great would it be if you could set up showings, guys, around their holiday schedule? You could do that. You could do all these things. You already know how to do them. It's just, how do you offer them to people over the phone so that they buy in, if that makes sense? Michelle?
Yeah, I love that. I'd love to hear, just before we switch gears here, anyone else want to hear that iteration? Like, go ahead and throw out the objection of like, well, I've got this, well, I've got that. And you'll see how it's a very similar delivery of how that's packaged. I think that's so valuable for Cooley, for those that don't work with us on a daily basis, just to see that again, maybe
This is something that we're going over every single morning on the Breakfast Club at 7:30. If you're not there, you got to be there because we're just going over the holiday objections. Can anybody else think of some specific holiday scenarios off the top of your head that have been a challenge to you?
I get this one all the time, Chad. There's just no buyers out there. Honestly, we just sat and now the holidays are here. If we were just on the market for the last 60 days, now we have Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up. Where are the buyers coming from if everyone's traveling and spending time with their family?
That's a great question, AJ. And it's this exact perception that I leverage every single year around this time to net my clients anywhere from 3 to 5% more than they could waiting until after the first of the year. AJ, do you know how many major corporations we have just here in the Seattle area?
I don't know how many, but I know we do have a few.
Yeah, we're a major tech hub, right? We've got Amazon, we've got Microsoft, we've got Boeing. All of these major corporations, AJ, have already hired people from all around the world to start their new jobs come January 1st. Now, these are high-level executives who need to find a home right now and are out there looking in November and December so that they have a new home to start their job with at the first of the year. And AJ, when inventory is cut in half because everybody's thinking along your lines, whose home do you think they're going to be they're going to be making offers on? And those are the exact type of people that we want making offers on your home, right?
Well, definitely. But where are you finding those people?
That's a great question, AJ. And I've got a strategy every single year that I leverage to put your home in front of the most motivated, serious buyers. And that's the first thing that we could talk about when we meet tomorrow at 6, or would 7 be better for you?
Love it. Let's do 7.
All right. How do you guys feel about something like that, right? And if you're not in the Washington marketplace, it doesn't matter where you are, guys. This is a time where we've got to get resourceful. And if I'm in your situation right now, I'm calling the major companies and the major relocation companies, and I'm asking for specific numbers. How many people do we have moving into the area? How many new jobs have you created that are going to be starting in 2025? How many new people have you hired? And I'm going to leverage those numbers, guys, because that's the perception, right? There are no buyers. But what we do know is that lots of agents are going to tell their sellers to take their homes off the market, right? Which is going to cut inventory dramatically. And there's going to be buyers out there. And if we play our cards right, we can leverage this as a strategy to get our clients more money. And one thing that I want to tell you that I really don't like is shrilling bullshit for a living, right? This is one thing that I can tell you, and anybody who's worked with me, their clients typically do net a lot more during this season than they do any other season. Okay. And that's a fact. And if you're actually going out there doing your job, following your normal process and not getting complacent like most agents are, you will find out that you will end up netting your clients more money. Michelle?
Yeah. I was gonna even just throw one more at you just because, but I think it's again very similar along those same lines, but even just keeping I think it's even more big from that, but just, Cooley, I've been, as you know, I've been waiting for, the elections to end, and now I want to see what happens. It's the same thing. I want to wait till spring. I want to wait till after the first of the year. I want to wait to see what happens. Let's do this one last time again. I'm going to give you guys some material on this at the end, right? So I'm a seller. We're just going to wait and see what happens now the election's just finished.
Yeah, 100%. And so, Michelle, what do you hope to have happen when, after the election, like after the first of the year? What are you hoping to see happen in the market?
Well, I think, I'm hoping that, the market's going to get better, and you're going to see more buyers, come into the buying pool. And I think, that's what I'm waiting to see happen. I want to just see what happens.
Michelle, and that could be a possibility, right? The new year could inspire some more buyers to come out on the marketplace. Now, Michelle, I've been talking to about, 30 to 40 people a day for the past 2 or 3 years. And do you know the most common thing that I've heard from a lot of sellers over the course of that time?
What?
Michelle, all of these people have been telling me that they're waiting until after the election to go ahead and put their house on the market because they feel like they want to wait for interest rates to go down just slightly, right? Now, Michelle, if interest rates go down even a little bit after the first of the year and 2 to 3 years worth of pent-up inventory hits the market at the exact same time, what do you think that could do to the value of your property when you have 2 or 3 years of inventory and just a little bit more buyers come on the market?
Well, I mean, I get that. It sounds like there is more competition, but there still would be way more buyers, right?
Yeah, there would be more buyers, definitely, Michelle. Interest rates would inspire buyers to come out, but there would also mean a lot more inventory and more competition, right? With the same or just a little bit more buyers could mean a lot less demand for your property and less money in your pocket. So, Michelle, what would it look like if you waited until after the first of the year and you had to take $30,000 to $40,000 less than you could get in today's market? What would that do of your goal of moving to Cincinnati?
Well, so that would suck. But so how would you do that? How would you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Michelle. I know that your whole goal here, whether you decide to sell now or in January 1st, is to just make sure that you're in the best financial position possible. So before you make any decisions, let's get together tomorrow at 6. We'll go over exactly what incentive you have in the market right now, what we anticipate the market to do over the next couple of months. That way you've got all of the information that you need, Michelle, to make the best financial decision when the time is right for you. Michelle, can you make some time tomorrow at 6, or would 7 be better for you?
Let's go. What do you guys think about that?
I love that.
Money.
So real quick, and every problem that somebody has with this is like, well, Cooley, wait a minute, but how's that going to work, right? Why are you telling people that they're going to make $40,000 to $50,000 less? Sometimes I say 100, depending on the price point, right? And the reason why I do that is very simple, right? It's because if you care about your client's motivation, right, and they've got everything that they need to get what they want right now, I feel like it's your job as a real estate agent, as a market expert, to always create a best case scenario for your client and to create a worst case scenario for your client. Give them that information so that they can make the best decision for them, right? Now, if you notice one thing that I'm not saying, guys, is I'm not saying that this is exactly what's going to happen, right? I'm saying that this is a scenario that could play out. This could happen, right? And what would it look like if this did happen, right? Would you be able to get the things that you want, you know? And this is a scenario that we went through just a couple of years ago when the market was hot and everybody just thought it was going to be that way forever. And we said, what would happen if rates went up just a couple of points and you had to take $50,000 to $60,000, $70,000 less than you could get in today's market? And what are a lot of you guys doing right now? Right? You guys are taking $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 price reductions, right? When you didn't believe it to be so before. And if you didn't create that kind of scenario for your clients who were on the fence then you were honestly doing them a disservice, right? If they've got everything that they want and they've got a motivation that's strong, you've got to protect that. And it starts with us painting a best case scenario, us painting a worst case scenario, and creating urgency. Sometimes people don't make decisions based on the fact that they can get everything that they want now. They make decisions based on what they could lose, urgency, fear of loss, things like that. And if you're only giving them upside and you're not giving them, hey, this could happen, well, then we need to start doing that because it's one of the biggest needle movers that you have. And it's one of the most underutilized things that we have as realtors that we should be doing for our clients anyway. Michelle?
Yeah. I hope that's valuable, you guys. I know we just spent way longer, so I'm going to shift gears on that now. I'm going to attach, it's actually 3 pages, and it's got literally all the word for word what came out of Cooley's mouth naturally, because it's instilled. This is a learned skill, you guys. This is a sales formula to navigate that conversation, how it's delivered. I'm going to give you guys actually the entire scripts to all of that right now. You're going to see it attached. But so let's shift gears to this. And at the end, Kyle, maybe we'll chime in with everybody kind of on just other strategy or dialogues around sellers as well. But I want to shift gears to the buyer side now, Kyle, and kind of talk about one, how to initiate conversations, but same conversation, right? Same question, right? Versus just, okay, someone's still waiting, right? Whether it's because of rates, whether it's because of the holidays, whether it's because of they were waiting to see what happens now post-election, all the same stuff. How do we go from just, okay, they're waiting, they're not ready, I'm going to bookmark it for over here and we're going to check in later, right? How do we actually leverage strategy and have the right conversations with these guys?
Yeah, it's a good conversation. And I think the first thing I would say to 90% of salespeople is try not to sell to yourself. And so what I mean by that is when I first got into mortgage and I was trying to sell loans, I sold to myself. I sold the way that I would want to be sold to. So I led with things like, here's the rates, here's the fees, etc. I sold what was most important to me. And the truth is I think that's natural, right? Because I'm the lender and that's what I would want to know. And you guys as real estate agents, what's the most important things you want to know? And that's initially where most people start. And so I would pause and I'd say, sell to the client's needs, not where you would want to be sold. Okay. And I think that as good salespeople, we think about us talking all the time, but it's that active listening skill, really understanding what are their main pain points. And I think that so often we have scripts in place to try and avoid the objection. I want to find the objection as quick as possible so that I can attack it. All right. And Cooley referenced not just having a surface level objection, but really try and understand why. Okay, so why are you waiting? It doesn't make a difference to me. I'll help you no matter what. I'll help you in a year.
Yeah.
Or I'll help you today. Why do I say that? It lowers the bar. Okay. So if like on the lending side, for example, if they're like, I don't want to have my application run, I don't want to have credit pulled. I already have all of my answers to handle those objections, but I don't name them first. In other words, if someone's hesitant to apply, it could be for a number of different reasons. And what poor salespeople do is they immediately insert a script and they say, well, we only do a soft credit pull. Well, it's not a commitment. And they don't even actually know why the client doesn't want to apply. It could be time. It could be the documents. Well, if they say documents, I understand they own a business. I'll coordinate with their CPA. So I think asking good questions, understanding the why, don't fill in the gap. Let them talk for themselves, and then use the scripting and the tools that you guys have, obviously through the Breakfast Club, through Cooley, and all of these coaching things to attack those specific concerns. So is that helpful? You got to attack the specific concern. So like interest rates are a big one that comes up. And I just give a good example. I'm waiting for rates to come down. I said, well, you and about every other person I talk to, right? That's like a major pause. But I want to do a quick couple year look back, and then we'll do a look forward. All right. So were you following the market in 2020 and 2021? And they're like, yeah, I was. I was like, what happened to prices? They're like, oh my God, Kyle, they shot up. Well, it wasn't because people were excited about COVID, right? There's actually a lot of uncertainty in the market. It's because interest rates got really low and people care about monthly payment. So I show them there's a correlation between interest rates and purchase price, and it's an inverse relationship. So let's just play this out. So if rates come down, prices naturally go up. And what did we see happen in 2023? Right? 2022, 2023, 2024, we saw rates go up and prices stagnated, and in some markets dipped. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, and you get them to agree with you. Does that make sense, Cooley? All right. So I say their name, I get them to agree, and I say, okay, so what do you think will happen to prices if rates go up? They'll go down. Okay. Well, what will happen if rates go down? Prices will probably go up. Okay. So the truth is, and I've actually mathed this out so you guys can actually write this down. If rates drop 2% on a $500,000 house, it creates about $700 of affordability. But pause, the market's already accepted the current payment for that price. Okay, that 4-bedroom, 2,800 square foot house, the market has already accepted it's a $3,500 payment. That's what people are okay with paying. So what happens is that actually gives room for $100,000 in appreciation. All right, so would you rather buy a $600,000 house with 2 percentage points lower, or buy it today for $500,000 at the higher rates? Well, I can always renegotiate rate. I can never renegotiate the price. So I use that as an example to show them that the correlation of waiting for interest rates to come down, and we can talk about, the fact that America is very monthly payment driven. You know this if you've ever bought a vehicle, right? If you guys have ever bought a vehicle and you're like, I can't afford spending more car because I can't spend more than $550 a month. What is the tactic that all car salespeople use?
Yeah.
Can anyone
Kyle, real quick, sorry to interrupt. Can you just say that one more time? Because it was so great. What you just said. Can you just like slow that down a little bit?
Okay, which part?
Repeat that one more time. The whole thing, when you're talking about we can't negotiate the price, right? Or we can't go back and renegotiate the price. Can we just like dive deeper into that real quick and give it to these guys again?
For sure. So
I actually wrote that down in our conversation and took notes on that when we talked about this before our meeting. I'm like, Michelle, we got to get him to kind of break that down for our people. But I'd love for you to break that down one more time.
No, that's good. That's good. I can always, so this is a script that I say, right? These are just, I have these little taglines that I'll insert based on the conversation. I can always renegotiate rate. I can never renegotiate the price. And what do I mean by that? You guys should know, I mean a refinance, right? Can always refinance when rates come down. And you know what, another script that I love to say too, and you can use this if you bought a house in the last 2 years. I say, man, I bought when rates were at 7% and I could not have been more excited. Do you guys know when I say that, it makes people flinch? You guys should cause a little bit of flinch. Why? Because it'll actually tune them in. So I'm like, man, I am pumped that rates are high. I was like, that just means I'm getting a good deal price-wise. And they're like, whoa, what do you mean? So then I show them interest rates influence price. I'll even ask this. I'll say, Cooley, if I could get you $1 million house for $1,500 a month, would you buy it?
Of course.
Okay, if I got you $100,000 house, but it was $10,000 a month, would you buy it?
Never. No.
So you just told me the very most important thing is people care about monthly payment. That is what drives decision making. It is not price. It is not interest rate. It is monthly payment. And we're not going to see 60-year mortgages. So you can't extend the terms like you do in the auto business. So there are two things that influence the monthly payment. What are they? Price and interest rate. Price and interest rate. Price and interest rate. All right. So you show them. So it's all about education. If I can show them that they're actually not going to save money, I genuinely believe this. Now, again, lower the bar. I'll help you. I'll help you with the $600,000 house when it's 600 grand. But if you want to get a deal in the market, this is when I think you need to do it. And here's why.
I love that comment. I love how you really broke that down too, because I know that some of you guys on this call will be like, oh yeah, but that's the same thing that I've been saying for years, right? Date the rate, marry the house, whatever that was for the longest time the lenders were saying. But what you fail to understand is like when sales is all about taking people on a journey with you and helping them see the perspective, right? Because you can talk to them until you're blue in the face. But what Kyle just did, like, was kind of brilliant, right? Now, he walked me through the logic rather than just tell me something, if that makes sense, right? Hey, if I could get you $1 million house for $1,000 a month, would you buy it? 1,000% I would, right? Would you buy a $100,000 house at $10,000 payment a month? No, that's crazy. Exactly, right? There's a power in getting people to say things rather than you just saying them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, most people aren't listening to you when you talk. I'll say that again, because I know a lot of you guys aren't listening to me right now. Most people do not listen when you talk. So it's important that you keep them engaged in that conversation.
And
right, Kyle?
Cooley, on that point, there are two things. Okay, someone just gave a quote that I'm actually going to quote later, and I freaking love that. But really quick, there are two things, a way to get someone's attention. If I say, hey, Robin, I have Robin's attention. And if I say, Sienna, can you answer that question for me? I have her attention. You notice they both looked right at the camera when I said that. So I use people's names like so much. I don't even realize I do it anymore, but I literally just had an agent tell me I was at a conference and she's like, Kyle, I need to get better at saying people's names. It is natural. If I talk to a client for 10 minutes, I will say their name about a dozen times. It does two things. It builds rapport, okay? It just organically builds rapport. If I'm on the phone with Cody, I'm saying his name all the time. It also reminds me of who I'm talking to. I'm super tuned into the conversation. If they have a really hard name to say, I put it phonetically in front of me so I never mess it up, okay? And so these are things that I do. These are different tactics that I do. Say their name and ask a lot of questions. It's really hard to disengage from a conversation if someone is saying your name, Sienna, and asking questions, right? So those are just small little tactics. Change your cadence. Don't talk super fast. Don't talk super slow. Change it up. Mix it up. And that keeps people really, really engaged. Okay. But say their name, ask good questions, even if ask people to just repeat back to you. Does that make sense? Or am I losing you? Like elicit a no too. So I always start off a phone call and I'm like, hey, Cooley, hey, this is Kyle with Cross Country Mortgage. Did I catch you at a bad time? Be like, no, I'm good. I love getting people to say no. It's like you should elicit a no. So
I love that.
Yeah, say people's name, ask good questions.
So, Kyle, right now, obviously with buyers, right? What types of buyers should we be reaching out to right now, right? And how should we start that conversation? And how do we get into their actual objections? And how do we leverage what's going on, like from a strategy perspective, to get them like at least on the conveyor belt? Because guys, people may not do something right now. It's a possibility, and that's okay, right? The most important thing is that, like Michelle was saying at the beginning of the call, that we don't just like set up a check-in call. We're like leveraging strategy to like put people in a process and keep them on that conveyor belt. So, Kyle, what kind of buyers should we be reaching out to right now? How should we be making those phone calls? And like, how do we get into their real objections?
So everyone in your CRM, okay, should have a differentiation between cold leads and delayed leads. Okay. That should be obvious, but it's not. Okay. Cold is like, I couldn't get a hold of Cody. All right. Delayed is Patricia told me she wants to wait until the market changes. Okay. You should have that differentiator because guess what? I can go back through and I have notes on why people are delayed. Some people are credit repairs. Some people are waiting for the market to change. Some people are waiting for the election. Some people are waiting for rates to come down. Okay. So I think the first thing you need to do is go through your database and go through and find those people that went cold for the reason of market conditions. And honestly, you can call really anyone right now because the truth is I don't care what your political beliefs are. But over 50% of people got their guy or their people or their way. Would you guys agree? Over 50%. That's the beautiful thing. So guess what? If you make 100 calls, over 50 people are actually excited right now. Like that should be like, think about that for a second, you guys. Okay. And that means that people feel like they're winning. So you take advantage of that opportunity to have a good conversation. So we actually have a script. So the conversation, and this, you guys will have this, okay? But I'm just going to fly through it really quick. It's like, hey, Cooley, hope you're doing well. I wanted to reach out because I believe now is a unique opportunity in the market. All right. As you know, many people have been holding off over the last couple of years due to high interest rates. More recently, we've seen even more hesitation with many waiting to see how the election would impact things. Now that the election is behind us and the Fed has cut rates twice, so now you're talking about rate cuts. All right. So you did both. Now that Fed cuts rates twice, we're starting to see exciting shifts in the market. There's a window of opportunity right now. There's a window of opportunity right now, one where you could make a move before rates potentially drop even further and more buyers jump back in the market. I'm reaching out to my past clients to make sure you're aware of the opportunities that are opening up right now. If you've been considering a move, now might be the perfect time to act. Would you be open to chatting about how the current market might benefit your situation? So to go back to Cooley's specific point, I think calling your past clients, making sure that they're in a good position, I think is important. I think calling your cold and delayed leads, this is a great time to do it because again, people may or may not be excited. And I think this is just like another easy one that we could throw in there is like your business owners, okay? Business owners, because they're about to file their taxes, capture them before they file those taxes and write off all their income. And they hit me up in 6 months and they can't buy a house. So that's another person to talk to. Hey, I know you want to be super tax efficient, Cooley, because you're a business owner. But before you file those taxes, I just want to make sure you don't plan on buying any real estate this year because that could play into how we help you prepare your taxes. Have you thought about that? And now you're having that conversation, you're probing that, but it's a value add, right? So I try and find ways to add value to my clients, show them opportunities without it always feeling like I'm asking for something from them.
So
Kyle, is that a script that you just read? I know you that's your script. Is that something that you would like call people with? Is that something that you would send out by email? Is that something that you would text people? Because obviously we want to get as big of a jolt as possible, right? Around this time of year, we want to increase, number one, our physical activity, right?
Yep.
But we want to increase our output in many different directions. So what would you do with that script there?
So anyone that works with me knows I will pick up the phone and call about as many freaking people as I can every day. All right. I'm the annoying person that responds to a text message with a phone call because I can build relationship over the phone. All right. I'm like, you know, guys have seen that meme, right? Like millennials, like biggest nightmare is when you text them and then you call them instead of responding. There have been times, just as an example, there have been times that an agent has texted me asking for an appraisal update and I called them and I got a lead out of that phone call. All right. And if I would have just texted them the answer, they would have been on their merry way. But because I picked up the phone, I asked good questions. I asked how their day was. I was able to build rapport. I'm like, hey, is there anything else I can help you out with, Cooley? Actually, yes, there is. Perfect. So I will always leverage the phone. I think the stat is what, like 80 or 90% of people work with the very first person they meet face to face. So I will turn that phone into a Zoom consultation at the very least, if not a face to face. I think that's probably my biggest personal selling power is using relationship. I think the more you commoditize yourself over text messages and emails, the more likely you will be shopped and you will lose because someone will do it at a cheaper price. So if you want to hold value and you want
Kyle,
to
say that just I hate to interrupt.
No, you're good.
But I want you to say that one more time, please.
Every time that you use a text or an email, you make yourself more a commodity, and commodities can be shopped. If you want to hold value, you need to bring massive value. You need to be relational. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know this because when I wanted to buy a truck recently, did I call a bunch of dealerships or did I just send a bunch of texts and emails? Texts and emails, because it's a commodity. I don't want to build a relationship. I don't want them to offer me massive value. I just want the cheapest truck. All right. Which is the
Yeah.
exact opposite of what I'm trying to do on this end. And the exact opposite of what you should be doing on your end. So every time that you like if I text so if an agent texts me with a client and they do an introduction, I say, Sienna, thank you so much for connecting me with Shelly. I'm super excited to be working with her. Shelly, is there a great time for us to chat later today or tomorrow? And what most people do instead is they'll just text with Shelly and, hey, can you apply or can you do this? No, I want them to get off the phone. People work with who they like and who they trust. And it's really hard to do those two things over texting and emailing. Would you guys agree?
Yep.
Man, I love
Yep.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that. And the
Absolutely.
problem is, Kyle, is that most people use the texting and the emails and all that as a way to justify them working instead of actually doing the job themselves, right? And so texting and email, although efficient, is a way for you to trick yourself into pretending like you're doing a lot of work when you're really not, right? This is a relationship business, and those relationships are made on the phone, on Zoom, and in person. And we've got to start talking to people with our mouths like we did back in the 90s. Kyle, go
And
ahead.
just so you know, like I keep track of this. So this is just my activity tracker. I do not track my text messages that I send. I do not track the number of emails I send. What I track is my number of my face-to-faces, and I track the number of my phone calls. And just in case you guys are wondering, I talk to about 100, and I have about 120 conversations a week, about 25 conversations every day. Conversations, not calls, conversations. And they have to be a good conversation for me to write it down. So
Hey guys,
that's,
does that sound familiar, guys? 25 contacts per day from somebody who does
Absolutely.
400 deals a year. And I don't care if it's on the mortgage side or the
Yeah,
real estate
doesn't matter.
side. It's 25 conversations a day is going to put you in a massive position to do a lot of business, period. Right. And so I love that, Kyle.
I was just gonna ask something real quick, Kyle. So I actually shared screens to that script that's already attached to you guys. You've got several things there for the seller side, the post-election conversation, urgency, holidays, and then just that really easy, like, how do I initiate the conversation with honestly anybody, right? Like anybody, anyone in your database is a really, really easy script. Kyle, would you mind just real briefly here doing your script for, you talked about, of course, like this is such a good time to reach out to our past clients. Anyone who's bought this whole year with us, did a transaction with us. Can you just run your script on what you're saying particularly? So it's not just like all of your, like I'm reaching out to all of my past clients. It's a really simple script you did here. What's your dialogue in that, what you're saying specifically? Someone that even just even recently that we did a transaction with.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is taking care of people, right? So, this is the easiest phone calls to make because it's people who've already worked with you. All right. So I was just talking to Cody with this. I mean, Cody and I had a conversation last week about this, and you can tackle it a couple different ways. One of them, let's just say you want to run a Google review campaign. Okay. So you first you call, okay, and you not email, not text. I'm surprised. I know. You call and you make sure that the house is going well, their current situation's going well, making sure they don't need contractors. I'm trying to find ways to add value before I ask for anything. Okay. I think so many people expect and ask. I want anyone I talk to feel like they won the conversation. In other words, they got more than I got. So think about it that way, you guys. If all you do is calling people and asking for yourself, asking for an appointment, asking for a referral, then you probably need to make a slight change in your approach. All right. So I'm going to call and add value. So, hey, Cody, I'm reaching out because, I want to make sure that the house is checking all the boxes. I know you're working on that kitchen remodel. How's that contractor working out for you? Perfect. Great. Hey, I'm also going to send you a copy of your settlement statement. It might be important for your taxes. Do you have a great CPA by chance? And then, yes or no, like that's an easy thing to just be doing right now. And then just, again, checking on their current situation. Hey, what are you doing for the holidays, whatever. And then, hey, Cody, I just have a small favor to ask. I'm running a, Google campaign. I want to make sure I give you a 5-star experience if you wouldn't mind sharing that. Sharing your experience. I'd really, really appreciate it. I have an awesome Christmas gift I'm sending you. So not that it's like necessary that you fill that out, but it would really help me. And that's an easy low bar. And if Cody jumps on that and he's like, oh my God, Kyle, yeah, absolutely. 5-star review. Loved working with you. Well, then I'm going to up it just a little bit. Be like, hey man, I'm super, super happy to hear you had a great experience. Thank you so much for sharing that review. It would really add value to my business. And by the way, Cody, I really want to work with more people like you. Okay. So if you have any friends or family that that's currently in an apartment or renting, I'd love to help them. So is there anyone that comes to mind that has a good desire of home ownership in the next 2 to 3 years? right? And you give them an opportunity to generate referrals. Like I think that we take it for granted. I think we expect people to give us referrals without asking for it. And I have been guilty at that, but I've gotten super intentional about asking for referrals. And there's so many times that I get off the phone with someone and or I ask right before I get off the phone with someone, and then I generate a referral at that time. And if I wouldn't have asked, I would not have gotten the referral. So yeah, that's the past client scripts on that.
I love it. I see people writing notes. I think that's so good and simple, right? And just value first. Are they winning more than you, right? And offering to send them their settlement statement before the end of the year.
You're trying to add value, right? You're trying to add value. CPA referral. Now you're giving your CPA a bunch of referrals. Well, guess who you can ask for business now, right? Ask your CPA. Who do you know, right? Who do you know that's looking to buy? You talk to business owners every single day. So it's like, if I can just offer value to every single person, my business will always be taken care of. I don't even have to focus on it. I'm just going to focus on adding value to everyone else.
Yeah. Your ability to add value and create solutions for people, regardless if it falls within your scope, is going to be a direct reflection of the money that you make in this business, period. Hands down, solutions and value is something that you should focus on for people. A recommendation real quick, Michelle, and I know I'll hand it over to you, is I want everybody to go through their databases today. And I want you guys to find out how many leads you have that are like just on the fence, that you've identified as on the fence leads. Okay. And those could be from your database. They could be expired listings, FSBOs, they could be buyers, whoever's on the fence. I want you to total that number. Okay. And then I want you to divide it by 45. Okay. And that's how many contacts, guys, at a minimum, right? If I'm you and I'm really in need of production, guys, I'm going 40 contacts a day for the next 45 days, right? All the way up until Christmas, right? If you're on the, well, I don't put that much effort towards my business, fine. Take that number and divide it by 45, however many on the fence leads you have. And that's exactly how many contacts that you need to make sure that you're touching base with all the off the fence, on the fence people before Christmas comes. Because I'll tell you what, guys, and I don't need to tell you this because I think every single one of you guys have had experience with this. These people on the fence that you've set like a callback alert or something like that for after the first of the year, how many of these people are you going to call back in the next couple of months and they're going to say, hey, Donna, thanks for reaching out, but we decided to go with Kyle, right? We did something with Kyle, right? 2 months ago, right? How many of you guys have felt that? Just unmute your microphones and just let it out right now. How many of you guys have felt that at least a couple of times this year already? Hey, I know I said I wasn't doing anything until next year, but I did something 3 months ago. Unfortunately, raise your voices if that's happened to you.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So many times.
All right. So that's the importance, right? Because we don't want to find ourselves reaching out to these people. I thought you weren't going to do anything until spring. Nope. Somebody who actually dove into what my objections were, created urgency, created value, got me off the fence and got me everything that I wanted right now. Where were you? Right? And that's really what they'll be saying.
Yeah.
Michelle?
So real quick here, guys, then I want, just because for time, and I want to open this up for a little bit of live Q&A here with you guys, but action steps that you need to be taking. I'm going to add to what Cooley just said. Okay. So action steps. And I love Kyle. I think this is a deficit for most. We are not strong enough with our databases, you guys, and really differentiated and segmenting the status, tracking all of this. Okay. But you need to comb through your entire database. We need to find the individuals that said they were waiting, right? There is a very big difference. We know what we're doing with our warm, hot people, okay? There's a big difference between the cold leads and delayed. I'm waiting. I am going to do something, but I'm waiting, okay? So we need to go through our entire databases and we need to make sure we're segmenting out, starting now, differentiate who's waiting, okay? And then, I'm going to take Cooley's number that he gave you 45 days, and I'm going to say that it needs to be 30 or less, okay? In reality, we're at November 19th, okay? 30 days or less. Working days that you're going to have between now and the end of the year. If you've got a massive list, divide that by 30. You guys have a small list, call all of them this week. Okay. You guys get what I'm saying? Call all of them this week. If your list isn't that big, that's your job right now. That's going to create more opportunity for you today. And as we get into the start of the year, you got a big list, you got 30 days to work with. So you take whatever that number is, you divide it by 30. Okay. So you got to be disciplined and actually have an intentional goal and number you're going after. Number two, Leverage these scripts, leverage this conversation. You guys are all going to get this recording where you can go back, play, pause, write out what Kyle was saying and doing. Okay. Write out, you pretty much got transcribed already what Cooley was saying. Okay. On the other sides of things, on the listing side of things, call all of your past clients. This is the time to leverage that. We just talked last week about how to maximize the holiday time and Christmas time and the holidays. You need to be talking to every single one of your past clients. Leverage that conversation that Kyle gave you. Watch what happens. Okay. And the fourth thing that I'll say is, if you guys need to be leveraging your partners. I always reference them as partners, our business, our mortgage partners, okay, our title and escrow partners. If you don't have a mortgage partner that is talking like this, that's actually creating strategies with your clients to move them forward for you and with you, that is a problem, right? That's creating opportunity for your clients. That's helping them create those solutions right now. You guys need a different partner in your business, right? There's ways to work with your current partners and help pull that out, right? But this is what you need to be looking at when you're looking at leveling up your business right now, okay? And I just want, as a side note, because we've all got great partners in the business, just make sure you are creating those dance steps that I think, Kyle, we talk about, like the ping-ponging back and forth of teeing each other up business. You should be very aware of, I'm doing this with my partners in the business right now, right? And just as a side note, outside of all of that, you guys, as a leverage point, and then we'll get out, Cooley, I'll let you add anything else, and Kyle, anything else before we do Q&A. Keep in mind for just even outside referral business, how many of us are working with clients that are then relocating outside of our marketplace and outside of our partners, okay? You guys are, the level of professionalism and skills and service that Kyle brings to the table is pretty amazing. Okay. And one of the ways that we can leverage him, in addition to our partners and things that we're doing out there, you guys, he's licensed in all 50 states. So a lot of our agents leverage Kyle in a lot of different ways for our clients that are relocating. I've got a sister that's trying to sell her house in Alabama, looking for an agent in New York. Whatever it might be, you've got a money resource of someone who's got relationships with some of the top agents in every single state, you guys, and is going to help you collect on those referral fees. So just a quick push on that. Cooley, Kyle, anything you want to add? And let's just do some quick Q&A.
Yes, real quick, and I'll open it up for questions for Kyle right after this. Guys, and I mean this sincerely, and some of you guys might take this the wrong way and end up leaving this meeting, but if you're a professional real estate agent, right, I want you to think about what it means to be a professional. If I were to give you the holiday objection 2 times right now, and you couldn't overcome it, like, you're derelict of duty this season, right? Like, you need to put an emphasis on that, because that's what keeps your business going. If you can't ask me 2 or 3 follow-up questions to find out what my real problem is, and if you can't offer a solution, guys, you got to start taking your business more serious, because you're not right now. This is the same shit that's going to happen on repeat every single year for the foreseeable future, and however long you want to be in real estate, right? We're doing this every single morning on the Breakfast Club, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. That's all we're doing. And every single day, I'm getting messages from people. Oh my God, just got the holiday objection. This is going to be the only objection that you get with your sphere of influence, your database. Don't care how you prospect for the next 2 months, right? And so we gotta apply some time to it, guys, and become the experts in our industry, because people aren't going to invite you to do a transaction with them. We got to be able to give direction, provide solutions, and provide value. So with that being said, Kyle, let's open it up for questions. Who's got some questions for Kyle Johnson here?
Really quick, Cooley, before I do, these are some extra one-liners that I'm going to drop in the chat really quick. Is I like saying time in the market is better than timing the market. So time in the market is better than timing the market. We briefly talked about this. You could wait, and it doesn't make a difference to me if you do or don't. But if I was looking for a deal, this is what I would do. And I always remind people uncertainty brings opportunity. And someone said above, Warren Buffett's quote, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. So these are things that are easy to digest that I just sprinkle in. Don't use them all in one conversation, of course, but let's go ahead and do some Q&A.
Love it. Guys, the way that we can work this is go ahead and just unmute your microphone and give a question if you got one.
I have a question. And let me
Let's
take
go.
my hand down. So I want to go back because I want to get this correctly. Hi, everybody. I'm Crystal. I introduce
And I'm
myself
another
now
host.
to my clients as Miss Profit, because like I just I need people to take me more seriously. You know, um, and so I want to go back because this is my first time hearing this. I'm new to EXP also. So, and I'm new to real estate. I've only been licensed for a year. And when you spoke about earlier how speaking to the clients about the worth, the value. So I took down the notes. You said you highlight the points that it's about what the market says the value of your house is in terms of not the large number. And that's so this
Yeah.
is new to me and I got real excited about this.
Yeah.
It's about the note. So if the market says your house is worth, the people are willing to pay $3,500 a month
Yes.
for that house.
It doesn't matter about the rate. It doesn't matter about the price.
matter about the rate, and it doesn't matter if the house is 500,000 this year or 600,000 next year. People are only going to pay 3,500 a month.
People have already accepted, okay,
Yes.
that this house in this city at this time is worth $3,300 a month to them. Okay.
Okay.
So if rates drop 2 percentage points, what will very likely happen is
the house will go
prices,
up in price.
and we saw it in 20 and 2021.
Wow.
Okay. You show them what the prices
Okay.
were in 2019 and you show them what it was in 2021. The payment went up only a little bit. The price went up a lot. So I think
Right.
you just show them with data, you just educate them. So if you can't afford $3,300 a month, maybe this house isn't the right fit for you. That's okay. I'm not trying to get people house poor, but I am showing
Right.
them that it's a fallacy to try and chase lower rates. Actually, the cool thing is you could buy the house today at 500 with a $3,300 payment, and you could maybe make that work for a couple years and refinance down, and now you're at 2,700. So that's the only way to have your cake and eat it too, is if you actually show them and paint the picture of the refi, which is something I do with my clients.
Okay. And so I know that we're going to get a recording of this. Will we also get a copy of these wonderful scripts also that you were speaking about? The
Yeah,
sitter
Michelle,
script?
Already in the chat.
It's already a
group right
chat,
now.
attached in the chat, you guys.
Yep. Thank you for that, Ms. Profit.
Okay.
Who else got a question for Kyle?
Yeah, I
Or
got
me?
a question. How do you
Yeah.
see Trump coming into office? Is it going to be chaotic, or is the interest rate going to go down?
Yeah.
I just
Way to make us lose half the people on this call. John. Go ahead,
No,
Kyle. Go ahead.
I mean, I think that even your sharpest people have been wrong 90% of the time about what rates are going to do and what rates have done. So I just tell people no one knows, and therefore don't make decisions based on what we expect rates to do or not to do. We make a decision based on the information we currently have. And that's when I go back to time in the market is better than trying to time the market. So my opinion is I think we're going to have some short run volatility. I do think that rates will eventually taper down over the next 1 or 2 years, but I am certainly not the guy that's promising lower rates by January.
right. Thanks.
Yeah. And that's a question that I asked too, John. Like, is it more important for rates to go down, or are you really just looking to time the market to make sure that you're in the best financial position when you do decide to sell? Right. And ask them that question. Is it really about rates dropping 2 points? Or are you just hoping to time the market so that you come out on top when you sell the property and, are able to get a good deal on your new home? So like shifting the conversation from rates to timing is probably one of the most important things that you could do on any phone call, because you can't control rates, right? It's out of your control. Can't do anything about it. You can control timing. And in fact, that's what you're an expert at. So
yeah.
Love it. Anybody else?
Someone above in the chat asked if I used Mortgage Coach. I personally do not use a lot of tools like that. I think that oftentimes they can be a distraction and you can give way too much information. I don't know about you guys. I look at some of the stuff that mortgage lenders put out and it confuses me with all the charts and the flow charts. I'm like, I'm lost. Like, I don't have the attention span for that. So personally, I don't use Mortgage Coach. I keep the business very, very simple. I oftentimes have people write out the numbers that I'm talking on a paper. I want them to be engaged. I don't want to just drill them with information. I think that sometimes we can rely too much on all these techie tools and you lose the client. That's just my opinion.
I'm on the Mortgage Coach podcast quite a bit, so I disavow. No. What else do we got?
How about in the, you have a buyer seller. It sounds like in some ways you're like saying, do this now because it's worse for the other side. Like, how do you balance that?
Seller
Yes.
because they're
So
ready.
this is something we didn't get into, Brian, but
Yeah.
I mean, this is like the beauty of the market right now is like, yes, if you're a seller and a buyer in today's market, it's a wash. The market timing is a wash, but you actually win, and here's why. I'd rather take a slight bath on my $300,000 sale and win on my $600,000 purchase. Would you guys agree? Okay. Percentage, just the rules of percentages. I'd rather have that discrepancy. I'd rather be in a buyer's market, so to speak, when I'm doing that. Also, contingent offers. If you wait, sure, you might be able to make an extra 20 or 40,000 on the sale of your house, but the odds of you getting a contingent offer accepted are now going down the toilet. So I think that you still can show them that there's actually a better opportunity to do it today versus waiting for the market to improve, et cetera. And this is where I partner with agents, like letting me actually look at their financials. I look at how much they're going to net from the sale of the house. A script that I have my agents use is like, hey, Brian, you're going to make $100,000 on the sale of your house, man. I'm super pumped for you. When was the last time you had 100 grand deposit in your account? And they're going to probably say never. And then you say, perfect. So I'm going to connect you with my lender because we want to make sure that we're super strategic with the best use of that money. Okay. We want to make sure that this is truly life-changing. And so I will help them come up with the best game plan because, spoiler alert, most of the time dumping all that money into the new house like they think they should do is actually the wrong move. And I do that all the time. But if they go to Rocket Mortgage or most loan officers who are just order takers, they'll just be like, oh, you want to do 100,000 down? Perfect. And it was a mistake.
Love it.
I just saw a question. Kyle's all his contact information is already in the chat. I just saw someone say, how do I contact you? And so I'm just going to drop it again. I also dropped, just real quick here, because I know we're going to wrap, how to contact me, because this is all going to wrap. Do not message me here to send you the recording, because in 1 minute, this is all going to go away. So make sure you message me directly. And I just dropped my direct link online. That's the best place. I will see it later, and myself, my assistant will send it over to you.
All right, let's do one more question before we wrap up. Who else has a question for Kyle? Ariana, you look inquisitive.
That was a great one, Brian. We forgot to touch on that.
Abraham, I know you've got a question in there somewhere. Aaron, I know you've got one.
I have a question. How can you stand hanging out with Cooley so much?
I can only hang out with him about once a month, so you're
That's
good.
what I figured, yeah.
Because he's
Abraham?
an Oregon Ducks fan, baby.
Go
I was
Ducks.
thinking I'm already pulling listings back in 2021, 22. So I got like 5 buyers that are literally on the verge of just screwing everything over. They're just waiting and they just don't understand. They can't put it into perspective. And they're mainly like younger, in their 20s to 30s type of, sideliners. But I mean, just putting into perspective price points, you know what I mean? 2 years ago, I mean, I'm finding listings that were more expensive than the one they're getting ready to put an offer in right now, but they're just waiting. And if they wait for too long, they're going to lose it. So
Yeah. I mean, I just try and paint the picture for him. I mean, I had a client in 2018 sell their house because they said the market was going to crash, and they missed out on about 50 to 80% equity gain because they just sat on the sidelines and rented for the last 6 years. Everyone thinks that now is the peak, and it's funny if you guys actually like, in order for like the Dow and the S&P 500 to have all-time highs all the time, it means you're truly having all-time highs all the time. Same thing with real estate. Real estate appreciates about 4 to 5% a year. That means you're constantly going to be at an all-time high. But that's really hard when you're in this market. So I think it's just slowing things down and just having the conversation with the client.
One of the things, guys, just want to highlight this here, which is so valuable with the recording, is go back. It was about halfway in where we really started that conversation with Kyle, and how he's not giving you a script where I'm just telling you this. He's painting the picture and walking the clients through that journey piece by piece. So they're in agreement, they're understanding it, they're saying it. And I think that's the most powerful thing you've shown us, Kyle, which is why you're able to sell 300, 400 plus transactions a year. It's the ability to do that, you guys. That's the difference between a great salesperson and what they're doing and to get solutions with our clients versus we're just telling them stuff. It's goodness of it.
Yeah. Good stuff.
love it.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Are you
I
gonna
know-
answer my
Thank you so
question?
much, Kyle. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
Are you gonna
thank you
answer
so
my
much.
question? Go
Thank
ahead.
you so much, Kyle, for joining us. Really appreciate it. I know that you guys, Kyle, I know that you're going to be on again here in the near future. We love having you on. Guys, Breakfast Club, 7:30, holiday party, December 5th. Want to see all of you guys there. So let's make sure that we're actually taking what we're learning here and implementing it. Do your math, go back in your databases, and let's create that strategic plan, guys, to make sure that December is our best month in real estate ever. So let's have a great day. Thanks for hopping on.
Thank
go.
you, Kyle.
Kyle.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks,
Bye.
Kyle.
See you guys later.
Thank you.
you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Kyle.